World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
This is Kia Rogers, and you're listening to Urbanology with my dad, Tony Rogers, on WHCR 90.3 FM New York.
Hey, what's happening? Urbanology.
Good afternoon. This is Tony Rogers, your host for Urbanology, the Art of War. I hope everyone has had a good summer. It just went by so fast. I guess they say the older you get, the faster the summers go. It used to be summer was so long, but now by the time I put on my short sleeves, I'm ready to put on long sleeves again. So it's kind of crazy. This is the second Tuesday in September, and on the second Tuesday of every month, we share the Urbanology Show with Columbia University. In particular, Tanya Pope, who comes in every so often. She heard that I was having a special guest, so she decided that she would come in and share some new stuff with us and let us see her. But Charlene De La Cruz have been holding down the fort. I mean, she's been a trooper, and I inherited Tanya from Laverna Fountain, and then I inherited Charlene from Tanya, and I'm just moving on down the line, but, it just gets better and better and better. So I can't complain, even though I missed them all dearly. One of these days we have to do a reunion show.
That would be great. And Tony, we just want to know we're never going to let you down.
Well, that has been the case for all of these years. And the person that I have the honor to bring on now is a person that is a legend in his own time. Matter of fact, there are two entities since I've been dealing with NWBEs that have always impressed me, DASNY and Columbia University, as relates to the work that Tanya and Laverna and Charlene has done. And of course, Michael Clay, who is a spearhead. Even though there are different administrations, there are certain things that do not change. And I am happy to say that one of those institutions that don't really change well, they do change because they get better, is Michael Clay from Dasney. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing well, Tony. How about yourself?
I can't complain. I'm here. It's a lot of people who are not here, so
Absolutely.
I'm blessed. And Michael, you know Tanya. I think the world knows Tanya, who deals with business and finance, city, state, and federal. But Charlene de Cruz is Dealer Cruz is kind of new, but she's not really because she's been here for a minute. But in this kind of a stage, she is, and she's been doing wonderful work with the CU Grow program. And some of the things that you're going to talk about will help many of the uh, individuals in the CU Grow program, I'm sure. And actually, Tanya has some new information also. So we have an interesting show. And for those who are listening, this will be posted on the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce uh, Facebook page as well as the Harlem Tourism Board's Facebook page, and of course, the SoulCity.me Facebook page. So we will record this so that more people will be able to hear about this wonderful stuff that's going on. So, Michael, we talked in July actually, and you dropped a real interesting tidbit on me about some new things that Dasney was getting ready to do to change the playing field for MWBEs. And I know that there's been some water under the bridge, but give us a little information as to where we are and how things are shaping up for this new project that you talked about.
Well, thank you, Tony, for inviting me to be on the show, and greetings to both Tanya and Charlene. When I was on last, back in July, I spoke to you about a new initiative that I was spearheading called the Capital Management Plan. And actually, it should be aptly known as the KMITE Capital Management Plan. And that is named after a brother who has toiled in the vineyard for a number of years in the vineyard of helping MWBEs across New York State and the country with surety bonding and insurance needs. And we have partnered in putting together the capital management plan. So since I've last been on the show, we are still moving toward finalizing, and I'm hopeful and was told earlier this afternoon that by September 30th, all of the financial negotiations will be completed. I have, and I'm not at liberty to name that partner, but I surely will scream it from the mountaintops that we have a partner who is going to be contributing to start off with $10 million for MWBEs and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses to be prime contractors in construction on DASNY projects across the state of New York, not just in New York, not just upstate, but the entire state of New York.
Well, that's big. And tell us about some of the things that MWBEs will be able to do based on this new initiative that they weren't able to do before or had difficulty doing.
There's quite a bit, but I'll try to keep it brief. Primarily, it is the opportunity to be a prime contractor. In the construction space, most small businesses, and particularly Black and brown businesses, minority, women-owned, and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses, are restricted to being subcontracted. And typically, that has nothing to do, in most cases, though sometimes it could be their, you know, workload, how much work they've done, but primarily it is a financial issue. That is, on public projects in New York State, the state finance law requires that you have surety bonding, labor, material, and performance bonding. It also, in order to get that bonding from the insurance company, you need to have capital access because surety bonding is a credit-based product. So without money, let me be frank, or credit, it becomes extremely difficult to get surety bonding. And also, in doing these projects, you also need funds for your payroll, materials, equipment. Um, in New York City, if you are working on a project labor agreement, or better known as a PLA, you have to make union benefit payments for the use of union labor uh, and non-union labor on a weekly or biweekly basis. So all these things require you to have capital access and bonding. So what this new initiative does is it is a turnkey solution for an MWBE looking to bid as a prime contractor on DASNY projects. This solution will provide surety bonding. So number one, they can bid as a prime. It will provide capital access so that they will be able to pay for, as I just mentioned, pay their payrolls, order equipment, either short-term or long-term equipment, be able to make whatever benefit payments if they're working on a PLA, and the ability to really fund the project so that they would be in a position to be a prime contractor on these projects at DASNY. This is the first program of its kind in New York State, and I've been told it's the first program of this kind in the country. And the idea is to create intergenerational wealth among minority businesses and women-owned businesses that for historically have not been in a position to create, because most minority women-owned businesses are first-generational businesses. They've been started by craftspersons who, for whatever reason, decided to start their own business. And typically, these are folk who do not have a whole bunch of money. They don't have a whole bunch of degrees. But what they do know is they're a hell of a mason, they're a hell of a carpenter, they're a hell of an electrician, they're a hell of a plumber, but they don't have what they need in order to be a prime contractor. And by the way, this also translates into the private sector, because when you work for a construction manager or a private owner, they also are going to require bonding and capital access to kind of protect themselves to ensure that the project that they're awarding is going to be completed. So this solution provides an opportunity for these businesses to move from being a sub, where they have to rely on payments from a prime contractor that sometimes don't come, or change orders where they do work and they have to wait to get paid. Operating under a prime contractor scenario, the money flows directly to them from DASNY. In this solution, there is funds control. So all the entities involved would be in a position to be able to do the work that they need to do, and to be able to do it in a cost-effective manner, and be able to move to the next project to be in a position to earn income and to create generational wealth. So that's what this program is geared to do.
Well, that's a mouthful. Tanya, I guess you know this stuff backwards and forwards. What's your thought about this new initiative?
Well, Michael Clay taught me everything I know. So when he says
that makes two of us.
When he's got something that's innovative, transformational, hasn't been done in New York or around the country, I think we need to sit up and listen. But basically what Michael is talking about, it's so powerful, is building an ecosystem at DASNY that provides all the supports where the firms fall down. And that will then translate into success. And remember, right now, they're doing it after their own. The cost of insurance for construction projects in New York City is the highest in the country, higher than any other city. Firms have so many pressures on them. And so to have an environment where you're working and that owner is supporting some of those needs so it isn't so prescient, really gives them a chance to succeed. So I'm excited about this program, Michael, and I can't wait for you to roll it out. I know you've got smart people working with you. That K-Mite dude's been around for a minute. And so I'm looking forward to seeing this and how it rolls out and all of the lessons that we learn. Because if you can be an example to others, maybe it's something that a Columbia can do, or an MTA can do, or someone else.
Exactly.
We would like to follow in the footsteps. So Can't wait to see it happen.
Well, Dasney led the whole MWBE conference deal that the state picked up on. And the first time I went to NWBE conference with Dasney, we all sat around a table. Now they got thousands of people, coming up during that time. So,
Well, yeah, it's always been the DASNY conference. And Michael, I need to tell you, I always felt some kind of way about that.
Charlene, with this new information, once it rolls out, do you feel that can help some of the clients for the See You Grow program?
Absolutely. I think that just having resources that I can really tap into and just push it to our firms, to our participants and past cohorts, it's going to help them tremendously, because that's one of the goals is, just building those bridges and building the gap within the resources that are out there that will help them in making their business grow.
And Michael,
I don't have to tell you, this is going to make DASNY a much more attractive place to do business versus your competitors.
Well, we're hopeful, Tanya. We're hopeful.
Well, as long as Michael is there, one of the things, though, and I agree, people like to duplicate success. And Dasney has been in the forefront there as doing that type of stuff. And it would be great that maybe next year or a year after, we start hearing about the cookie cutter syndrome, where based on the success of Dasney, other organizations are beginning to look at it. I hope they don't take Michael away from us, because that happens. That's I was watching the footballs. Once you do good and you make it well, people start trying to recruit you. But nevertheless, I'm just happy, and of course, Michael, when it rolls out, we're going to have you back to talk about the particulars, how people can get involved, how they can apply, and all of that stuff. But
absolutely, Tony.
But the understanding that it's coming is a great thing.
Well, I try to think outside the box, Tony, and there are a number of roadblocks for any businesses in New York State, but there seems to be canyons for our minority businesses and women-owned and small businesses. And so my idea is to build a bridge, and that bridge would enable people to be in a position to control their own destiny, to circulate wealth through our communities, because when all of our projects, whether that's Tanya or Charlene's projects, are occurring, that means small businesses are able to participate. That means circulating the dollars through that community, because they're hiring people that now have the opportunity to circulate that money. And that's all about, creating economic development and across the state and in our communities, especially of Black and Brown. So one of the things I also neglected to mention is that the initial investment, I think, was $10 million, but there is a commitment that investment would go higher. And also from our financial partner. Also, what we've thought about, because I try to be holistic in my thinking, is to ensure that materials and equipment, that is a very costly thing for most minority and women-owned businesses and small businesses and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. So what we also included in the program is a minority business that is one of the largest general construction suppliers in New York City. They are a part of the program. We've also included a minority woman-owned business that is a plumbing supplier and an electrical supplier. So what does that all mean? What that means is that if there are contractors who are looking to bid on DASNY projects, and again, I underscored DASNY initially. Right now, I'm hopeful that this can roll out across the state to Columbia, MTA, and everybody else who has an interest. But what these three supplier opportunities offer is competitive terms and pricing to those minority and women-owned businesses who typically wind up paying more because they don't buy in enough quantities.
Right.
And that's saying everything else is equal, which we all know is not. But again, this would provide an opportunity to get the best pricing possible, not only to DASNY, but to any entity that would utilize this system. And again, we're trying to think of all the touch points that a small business would need to touch in order to be effective and efficient. Because remember, at the end of the day, I'm spending taxpayers' dollars. Your dollars, Tony, your dollars, Tanya, and your dollars, Charlene. So I have to be cost effective and efficient as best we can in terms of executing on these public projects, and also at the same time spur economic development.
And
That
Michael,
is such a beautiful construct, Michael, to use the leverage and uh, capacity of DASNY to lock in supplier pricing. It's great for the contractors. It's great for DASNY, and that's a really wonderful part of that whole ecosystem. It's all the people don't understand that these minority and small businesses get the short end of the stick every time. They pay more in insurance, they pay more in supplies. How can they compete? So to have more of a level playing field that you've been able to arrange will definitely up the ante and get more of them in contracts with you. That's wonderful.
and Michael, just briefly, let the listeners know a little bit about you. I know we would have two more shows to talk about all of the stuff that you've done, but just so that they can know who they're listening to.
Well, when I started out this journey, I had a whole head full of hair, Tony.
So did I.
No, and I wasn't trying to be like Mike, believe me. But I started in this business probably 35 and a half years ago. I started when I was 18, Charlene. So the idea was, and I had a great mentor. My father was the purveyor of the state's MWB program under Hugh Carey.
Mm-hmm.
He started the MWB program in the state of New York. So that's what got, my interest. And through college and after graduation and working in a couple different industries, I wind up coming to the state of New York and working for the Office of General Services in Albany. And then from there, I headed up the MWB program, which my father used to head up. He retired and I took over the program. And then I traversed over to DASNY in 1999, and I've been here since then. So I'm kind of one of the old timers in terms of MWB utilization, but I like to think like fine wine, you get better with age.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I like to think that, what we're trying to do is just leave a legacy of service.
There's someone else in your family. Is it your brother that?
Yes, this is kind of spread. We're probably, I forget now who it was, called us the first family of MWBE.
Yeah, because I went to a conference and all I could see was clay here, clay there, clay.
Yeah, yeah, my brother, younger brother, Scott, is the director of the MWB program for SUNY Construction Fund, which is the in-house construction arm for State University of New York. So between the two of us, we kind of, and with my dad leading the way, we've kind of had a input, if you will, on small
yes,
business
I would say
development in New York State between my
now,
years
Michael,
of service
I did not
and my
know
father's.
that. So,
Yes.
in other words, the Clays are going to get the schools built in New York State.
One way or the other, yes.
Matter of fact, when I first went to an event, and I kept seeing these clays, and actually, your dad was a speaker. I said, God, I had to know that. If this is who's starting the MWBE, I'm sure it's good to make a relationship there, because how can you go any higher than the person who's made it happen? So you come with a great deal of detail, which is why I wanted people to know, who you are. I see Charlene say, wow.
Well, I'm just impressed. That's an amazing legacy that your father started, and now for it to flourish between you and your brother, and I would love for it to continue on. I think that's just an amazing and beautiful thing.
Well,
Michael,
thank
can
you,
I ask
Charlene.
you a question? Because
Sure.
we know the pandemic has really decimated a lot of firms that are owned by people of color. Do you see this new program that you're launching help to revive some of those firms? Can you tell us how that might be positioned to help?
Well, Tanya, excellent question. And that was one of the impetus as to why um, I've moved forward with the program, because with the pandemic, a number of Black and Brown businesses have suffered. All businesses have suffered, but in our communities, especially Black and Brown, have suffered immensely because, again, if you had a cold, the saying goes for our minority businesses, you get pneumonia in our communities. And because of the pandemic and what's been occurring, if you weren't that structurally sound before the pandemic, with the pandemic, it could have taken you out. Not necessarily COVID-19, but the economics effects of COVID-19. So this solution was thought about to help the existing businesses. And again, as we all know, in construction, there is a concrete ceiling, not a glass ceiling, over subcontractors, because it's only so far you can go without bonding, without capital access. So now with this program, you're able to be a prime contractor, which means that once you've done 2, 3, X number of projects, you can in good conscience be able to take your bonding, have a relationship with a bank, and then be able to go and possibly bid on Columbia University projects, be able to bid on MTA projects. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to build an empire at DASNY where you can only work at DASNY, because that doesn't help the collective community. What helps the collective community is that we all can share, because guess what? There's only a certain amount of certified businesses in the state of New York. And we're all Columbia, MTA, the Port Authority, DASNY, the City of New York, and so forth and so on. We're all working with that same group. If that group is not expanding, to Tanya's point, then how do we look at being able to sufficiently, and I don't care about numbers, the goals and how much money I've given. I'm talking about how do we help to move the needle for minority businesses and help to build our communities? Because if people are getting jobs and are getting paid and then are spending that money in our communities, that's how you build your community and help it move to the next level. So that's what my idea was, and that's what we're looking to hopefully implement through this program. And right now, we've come a long way with doing this. When I started this a couple years ago, it was an idea. And now we've been able to do a procurement. We've hired a consultant. We now have this as part of DASNY's blueprint moving forward. And I'm looking forward, quite frankly. And by the way, this was tested in the private sector on $25 million worth of private contracts, and it worked very well. No issues, no problems. So this isn't something that I cooked up in the lab, Tony. This is something that actually worked in the private sector, and I'm just bringing it to the public sector with the idea, hope, and prayer that I can share this across the state of New York. Maybe the governor might see this and say, you know what? This needs to be a part of the MWBE program for the state of New York, and every entity in the state of New York could use it. That's my goal.
Is there going to be a MWBE conference in? It usually is in October, I believe, right?
It's been moved to December. I believe it's the 14th through the 16th or 17th.
And it'll be virtual.
I believe it's going to be virtual at this point, but with the numbers and the variant happening, personal view, no inside knowledge, I don't know how you do an in-person conference with the stuff happening the way it is, both in upstate New York and New York City. So I would assume that it would be virtual. But yes, there will be a conference. I had an opportunity to speak to the new executive director for the MWB program, and he indicated December 14th through the 16th, I believe, are the dates.
Well, it was a stretch, Tony, getting us to Albany in October. I don't know how you get somebody physically there in December.
Tanya, it's going to be 75 in December. Don't worry. Global warming is going to be warm. No snowflakes.
My goodness.
Well,
Let's
That
hope
sounds
not.
like second prize, Michael. Albany in December.
Yeah, I know. I hear you, Tanya. I hear you.
Michael, with the new director, perhaps you can let him know that we would love to have him on our show to talk about some of the plans once they are developed. So feel free to pass me on to him or him on to me. I assume it's a he,
Yes, it
and
is. I most certainly will.
we'll work that out. Charlene, any questions that you might have for Michael before we let him go? And
No,
he doesn't have to go. He can stay and say some of the other stuff if he wants. But
absolutely. Michael could definitely say he's been sharing such great insights that I would love, just to tap in and to share those resources. But just really, I always actually share a lot of the communication that comes through DASNY. I'm logged in and I'm always seeing, staying up to date. But is there any other webinars other than procurement opportunities that from the program that you listed that, our firms can actually partake in?
Yes, great question, Charlene. So I'm going to embark on a world tour, literally, not figuratively. And I will be we're mapping this out now with the idea that, as I said to you guys earlier and to the audience, that September 30th, all the financial deals and negotiations will be finalized. We will be doing webinars, and I will certainly share that information with Columbia University, specifically with you guys, on the who, what, where, and why about the program.
Right.
We're going to be doing webinars for MWBEs, SDVOBs, for all the advocacy groups. We're going to be also doing webinars for prime contractors, because I think it's important that the prime bidders who work on public projects such as Columbia, such as DASNY and others, they hire the MWBEs, but as subcontractors. So they have relationships with folk. So besides me putting out a webinar and a how-to and on our website and everything else, I think it's important that these prime contractors and CMs be aware of what this program is, how it works, and more importantly, to pass that information on to MWBs and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses that they have relationships with. So there will be a multitude of different things, as I said, the advocacy groups. So I'm going to be quite busy. Myself and Mr. K might, we will be quite busy presenting this information to any and everybody, because the key is to make sure that folk know about this, because they can't participate. The only thing impeding them from participating is going to be the knowledge about the program. That is the only impediment. So my goal is to go over and beyond, working with our partners, working with others to make sure that this information is disseminated to all parts of the minority business community.
So, Charlene, that means that we have to have Michael back on once this rolls out. And maybe if we're lucky, we'll get Tanya to join us. Your mic is muted.
I was saying I would absolutely love to. And just, I can't wait to watch the progress of this program. I have to tell you, Tony, and Michael and I are working on another project, because he is also part of Ascend, one of our opportunity partners. So I have not felt this much collaboration and cooperation in the MWBE space in a very, very long time. It was great when the city and the state were raising goals and requirements, but now people are putting in place building blocks that are actually going to get us there. And it's private and public, and we're finally learning to collaborate and not compete with each other's programs. So we're not being redundant, we're being enhancing, and it's I don't know how you feel, Michael, but I feel like it's our time.
No, I agree, Tanya. I think, that's why, unfortunately, and there was no dig at anyone, and certainly not at the two guests on this show, but I'm really, the numbers are the numbers. I don't really care about all that. Yes, that's a necessary evil, because you have to put out, how much dollars are getting into the communities and what's going on, and are you at 30% or are you at 49% or whatever the percent. But for me, the measurement is the opportunities that are real opportunities for businesses to be able to participate on the projects. Because if that's the case, then we all benefit from not only economic development and growth, but we all benefit by helping to move and scale businesses. To me, that's the true measurement of what all of this is all about. And so I agree 110%. I'm excited about the opportunities. I'm excited about the collaboration with Ascend, which I'm sure Tanya will be talking about. I'm glad to be a partner of that initiative. And, for me, it's a lot of initiatives, but you know what? God has put me here in this position for a reason. So I'm not going to complain. My job is to try to maximize it and do the very best that I can.
I got a text, and I neglected to do it, which I apologize. Could you give your new title and how people might be able to reach you or someone who can give them information as far as the status of the program?
Sure. My title is Senior Director, the Opportunity Programs Group, Co-Leader of Procurement. Tony, as you absolutely said, I co-lead procurement. So that's another reason why my hair doesn't grow. But anyway, with all of that, and you can reach me. My email address is mclay@dasny.org. And what you should be doing, though, is not wasting your time emailing me, but go out for yourselves to www.dasny.org. There is a landing page under diversity and inclusion for the capital management plan. And therefore, there is contact information for Mr. Kamite and his team where you can learn more about this program. We're also steadily building that site even more. So in the coming days, that's DASNY, not DSNY.
The Dormitory Authority for the State of New York.
Yeah, dasny.org, www. And that's how you reach me, and I'll be happy to, provide any information. Thank you very much. That's it right there. And that's how you can find out not only about that, but as Charlene said, what opportunities that DASNY has upcoming today, not next month, not next year, but what we have today.
Well, Michael, again, thank you so much for. I know you're busy, obviously. You've given me time in July. You've given me time now, us time now, and we will ask you to come back once everything is rolled out to help do that. I want to do a story in the Harlem Community News. So once you have that text, please send it to me because people should know the most dreadful thing that I can think of is for programs like this to be available and people not know about it.
No, absolutely. It would be a crime, literally and figuratively. So yes, by all means, I will share information. I would be more than happy to come back to tell you it's launched and this is what you need to do. And I guarantee you the next time that I appear on the show, Tony, you absolutely will be able to see me better. I apologize for being in the shadows, not on purpose, but my battery died, so I'm kind of working off of a plug-in, and the light isn't the
I'm
best.
sure I can speak for many of the listeners as long as they heard you. Of course, that's a plus, but the fact of the matter is that they heard you. And thank you, Michael. And Tanya, you have some stuff. And Michael, please feel free to stay with us, but I want to turn to Tanya because we don't see her that often, and we don't hear from her that often. I know Charlene does, but Tanya, you were talking about some of the new stuff. Could you just elaborate on that?
I will. And if
before
Michael
I
has
do that, though,
time
Tanya,
to stay.
Michael, do you know about the CU Grow program?
I am familiar with it, yes. Because
so Charlene, you'll send Michael some stuff so that he can be more focused on it. But I'm sorry, Tanya. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. And we are ready to promote this new DASNY program to our alumni. We have about, 60, 70? How many folks?
We have 62 alumni right now with the CU Grow program. So I know they're eager to know more.
And the wonderful thing about See You Grow, Michael, is we make them vendors at Columbia. So we test them out and get all the risk done, and then we send them to you.
Okay, that sounds good. Just be qualified. I'll take them.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be promoting your program to our alumni. But Tony, I wanted to say, and I'm so glad Michael can stay, is that myself and Sachs Communications have partnered as co-consultants to launch the new Ascend regional program in New York City. Ascend is a nationwide program that's in about 16 cities across the country. It's headed by the University of Washington Foster School of Business, and it's funded by JP Morgan Chase. And what they've been teaching is a 3M curriculum in all of the cities: money, marketing, and markets. Helping firms to prepare and shore up and understand how they need to be run. But now what they need is a experienced and innovatively designed procurement function to help those firms connect with opportunity partners that want to contract with them and to make sure that they're market ready. And that's what we're calling them, market ready. Just because you're certified doesn't mean you're capable.
That's true.
And we have all lived that story. So we are building an ecosystem of opportunity partners, of which Michael Dasney is one. We've got Lend-Lease and Turner, of course, Columbia University, Tishman Speyer, Gilbane. There are about 10 of them now. And we also have a group of resource partners that are going to be providing capital to the firms, that are going to be evaluating their insurance and their bonding to make sure it's what it needs to be for them to perform on contracts with these firms. We're going to have an estimator as a construction expert in residence to make sure that they're bidding properly. And we are trying to build an ecosystem of all the supports to be able to say, given all of these things being in place, can these firms win? And we believe they can. And we believe with committed opportunity partners like DASNY and the other construction organizations and resource partners. And the firms, we've just chosen our first cohort of firms. Charlene did all the heavy lifting on that. You want to talk about that, Charlene?
Well, I would say it was a team effort. And it was an exciting experience because I was able to partake and join Renee and Tanya in this effort. And it was just a great experience.
And this Renee Sachs, Dr. Renee Sachs.
Yes,
Dr.
Renee Sachs.
Yeah.
Being able to really get to know the firms and ask them questions about their business really gave us really insight of where is it that they need more assistance. So that was really clear because sometimes you don't know that and you get to learn that as you're partaking with them within the program. But here with the Ascend Regional Program, you learn that early on and then you can kind of customize a program for their needs.
How is it possible for a firm to get information or be a part of this initiative?
Well, what they can do, because we've chosen the firms for the first cohort and it's an 18-month span, if we are getting funding for a second cohort, we'll be able to announce that and do outreach around that. We wanted to be very specific about the cohort that we were building, just so that you know the goal of Ascend is to facilitate contracts of $1 billion with firms owned by people of color. That is its overarching goal nationally. Not MWBEs, not WBEs, firms owned by people of color. Okay. That's its clear goal. So all of the firms that are in this program are minority owned firms, whether they're MWs or just M's. And then we have a tranche of 3 different categories. We've got our 0 to 500,000, actually 4 categories. We've got our 0 to 500,000, which are just a few. We've got our 500,000 to $1 million. We've got our $1 million to $5 million and over $5 million. So we're trying to grow each of these groups a certain amount based on the group that they fall in. And we built an amazing ecosystem of delivery for our partners to send us contract opportunities, for the firms who are in the program to see those opportunities and express their interest in bidding, and then a tracking system for the partners to update us monthly if they've had any contract success with these firms. So it's going to be a wonderful program. I'm excited about it. You know, I'm a mad scientist at times, Tony. I love to build new things like Michael. See, that's how I told you Michael taught me everything I know. He's got me doing this.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be doing it with him. And obviously, our firms that are applying to Michael will be looking to partake in his program and all of the supports that he has there. So it's definitely a complementary effort.
Well, it seems that if a firm can go through that and then go to Michael, they should be, on their way. And we have about a couple more minutes. Charlene, anything that you would like to add to this conversation about See You Grow, or where that's going, or where it should be?
No, absolutely. I'm excited about the Ascend Regional Program, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I think wearing two hats with working with the Ascend Regional Program and working with the CU Grow, I wish I had a clone. But the CU Grow program is incredible to say that we have a 7-session program. So we're at our 6th session. And this is really the part when we're focusing with the firms. We're really supporting them on finalizing their strategic growth plan and preparing for their growth plan presentation so that they can share their ideas of what they want their business to be within the next 2 years to a panel of experts. So that's kind of like where I'm at. So I'm at the start and kind of like growing the Ascend Regional Program with Tanya, but then kind of like wrapping up the CU Go program at the same time. So it's an interesting experience.
Well, again, if you follow Michael and Tanya, they'll show you how to do clones, because obviously they have been cloned so many times. I just can't understand how they do all of the things that they do. Again, Tanya, anything that you might want to say, and then I'll go to Michael before we close up.
I just want to say that there is a lot of opportunity out there, a lot of stuff happening. I'm not going to give anybody any free sound bites on your show, Tony, but there's a great conference for Black businesses. So you guys might want to Google that and check it out. That's coming up. And just stay tuned, because there's so much opportunity out there and so much ability for advancement. So
and you can feel free to anything that can help, Black and browns out, Laverna Fountain, who was the person who first allowed for me to get in contact with Columbia, her saying was, MWBEs are great, but we got to remember the Black and brown brothers and sisters, And I know that Tanya, and I know that this is a sentiment that has traveled throughout our time. So if there's a conference that's coming, feel free to let us know. If not, let Charlene know, and we'll talk about it on the next show. And
Okay.
Michael, as you know, I know Dasley is doing many different things. So I got, where can we get information on your organization? I guess See You Grow, we can get, because Michael is Dasley.org. See You Grow, how can
do you want to put the website link in there, Charlene? And I just put the Ascend website in there as well.
I did
if they want to go to that.
I put the CU Grow and the email as well.
Yep.
Okay. So that's the Ascend program and the See You Grow. And what you can also do is every second Tuesday of the month from 4 to 5, tune in. For those who just tuned in, if you go to the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce's Facebook page, the show will be aired there, and it will be up for a while. It would also be on the Harlem Tourism Board Facebook page, and of course the Soul City Network Facebook page. So you have the information that can be helpful to you. Please let people know about it. And I will work with Michael as much as I can to help him sound the horns and let people know, because it is an important opportunity. We've been through this for a long time. And the things that and for those who are looking, Tanya and Michael, I've learned so much from them. as relates to, because you don't know what you don't know. And Charlene is obviously a great understudy because I'm learning from Charlene, from that. So for me, this is a way to give people information, but also to receive it. And I send people to all of you that I think that may be helpful. But Michael, thank you again. We will stay in contact. I hope you received the email that I sent you with the MP3. And
yes, I did. Yes,
okay,
I did.
let me
Thank
know.
you for that.
And Tanya, it's so good to see you. With this remote stuff, it's a new normal. But every so often, it's good to see a wonderful smile. And I know with Charlene, actually, you do have a clone. because sometimes talking to Charlene, she has the same, you better get this right stuff. But she's a little kinder than you are. She's not quite as abrupt. When I mess up, she kindly lets me know that I need to get my act together. You're a little straightforward, Tony.
I've got old and ornery, Tony. What can I say? That's why I needed Charlene to come in with some fresh new blood. She does a wonderful job.
But I need all of it because it is what it is. But thank you all for joining us. Again, the Urbanology show, thanks to Soul City. And actually, WACR, the studio, I don't know, now that I have learned how to do this virtual thing, I might not go to the studio too often anymore. I talked to the director and I said, well, I'm used to sitting in my house, and you only see my top, so you don't know that I have my shorts on.
Oh God! Don't Zoom bomb us, Tony. Don't Zoom bomb us.
I know that's more information than you need, but the point of it is that there's a yin and yang to this virtual stuff.
Yes,
we can start to get comfortable in it. But thank you all. The information is extremely important, Michael. I will be on your case to kind of make sure that I have whatever you can give me so that I can make sure that people know that, and I will pass it on. And Charlene, thank you for being you. And Tanya, I love you. And at some point, I'm going to get an invitation to where you are.
You absolutely have an open invitation, so come on down.
Especially, with the leaves and all of that stuff. So, that might be something that I might knock on your door sooner than you think.
That's okay.
Take care, you guys, and
thank you so
regards
much
to everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
again,
Thank you,
Soul
Tony.
City. All right,
Take care,
care.
guys.
Take care, Michael.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye, Charlene.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.